It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to jump on that gigantic, sharp, interactive board. I want to do a little bit more thought leadership, if you will, regarding Lexmark, 9-Star. And we all know that 9-Star is actually owned by a company called Zhuhao Xing Technology Company Limited. There's their headquarters in Zhuhao, China, and you can see the Lexmark flag flying out there proudly. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm hearing rumors out there that Xerox is going to buy Lexmark and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I want to share some thoughts on why I believe that to be pure nonsense. But folks, there's a saying out there that goes like this: you can't see the forest for the trees. You can't see the forest for the trees. And I think that analogy is an awesome analogy in context to this drama unfolding in front of our very eyes. The forest is the Chinese Communist Party and the ruthless things the Chinese Communist Party does with the PRC companies they control. The trees are the people that work at the subsidiaries of these PRCs all over the free world. And the people in the free world can't see the forest, the atrocities of the Chinese Communist Party, the ruthless dictator Xi, the atrocities that he allows the PRCs in China to do, because we're focusing on the trees. The dictator in China bets every single day on the compassion of the people within the free world, and he knows that the people within the free world will focus more on the people that work at his subsidiaries than any of the atrocities those corporations, those PRCs do back home. Unfortunately, I think he's kind of winning that bet. So today what I want to do is I want you to get in a helicopter with me. We're going to fly up over the trees and we're going to look at that damn forest. And get ready, because when you look down at the forest, it's a pretty scary place. There's some folks out there that want to talk about decoupling from China. Decoupling from China is an uncomprehendable solution. I mean, it would destroy the global economy. Could we decouple from China over a period of time, little by little? What we can do, ladies and gentlemen, right now is we can stop doing business with PRC companies. Okay? Number one. And some folks will say, well, Ray, what about your iPhone? What about all the stuff that's manufactured in China? People do that because they want to cloud the vision. And the reality of it is, it's uncomprehendable to do away with everything that's manufactured in China, because China is the world's manufacturer, and the free world allowed that to happen, and we'll have to figure out a way to fix that. But right now, what we can do is stop doing business with PRC companies. What we can do right now as a society is stop selling our businesses to PRC companies. What we can do right now in the free world is make sure that the businesses that we do business with are not a threat. And I think about the China tech threat, the Lenovo products, the Lexmark printers, MFPs and scanners, the Lexmark cloud platform. To me, those are all massive threats. And that's the kind of stuff we could focus on. And ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, our government made a decision when they enacted that UFLPA Act. And the decision was, we are going to ban PRC companies from doing business in our supply chain if they use forced enslaved labor. And since that policy went in effect, there has been quite a few companies got banned. 9-Star being one of them. And that's the one that got the attention of our industry. And we all know that 9-Star owns Lexmark. 9-Star owns over 60% of the equity in Lexmark. And at the end of the day, if you want to make this about everything in China, nothing will ever happen. If you want to make this about technology threats, forget about the UFLPA. Why in the world would any government office be using a Lexmark printer or scanner or copy machine? I shared with you numerous times the cross-border transfer data policy, and Lexmark's never ever addressed that once. They haven't addressed anything. Their executives have been hiding underneath the desk since June. We saw an interview that one of their executives did at ENX magazine. It was horrific. Horrific. And of course, our industry's media and analysts are not going to ask Lexmark any questions. Lexmark's had the ability to do videos since June. They could have put 9-Star and Zhou Technology Company executives in the lobby there in Kentucky. They could have brought in their board members, their independent board members that make all the decisions regarding Lexmark, and they could have had a conversation with the world. They didn't do any of that. They hid under their desk. 9-Star, Lexmark's owners, sued the United States government. They lost the lawsuit. You saw that episode on Saturday. The ban remains. And we can make this in our industry about things that are uncomprehendable or things that will never happen, so we don't have to participate. Or as an industry, we can focus on what we can participate in. As Americans, we can focus on what we can participate in. And I get it. Lexmark's not on the list. But the argument I've been making since June is that 9-Star owns 60% of their equity, more than 60% of their equity. And you'd have to be completely naive to believe that Lexmark can do and operate without 9-Star. It's absurdity. We've heard Lexmark talking about how they got a new supplier, but they refuse to tell us who it is. That's just so outrageous to me that still they don't tell us who it is. They have not addressed any realities around this issue. And the dictator in China, Xi, bet on that. And he won. He bet that the people in the free world would focus on the trees, would focus on the people working at these entities they own throughout the free world. And the compassion of the people in the free world would outweigh any atrocities that they would commit in China. He bets on it every single day. I think it's about damn time he loses that bet. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a blog out there, China Tech Threat. There's all kinds of information out there. But there's a lot of states that are trying to put restrictions on Chinese technology. They call out Lexmark and Lenovo. They see those as China tech threats. So do I. That's why I keep sharing that cross-border transfer data policy with y'all. In February of 2023, there were 11 states that had restrictions on contracts with China technology. As of March 1st, 2024, there's 16 states. Ladies and gentlemen, it won't be long before all the states get on the same page and stop putting China technology in our government offices, in our school districts. What in the world are we doing? In our healthcare system. Hey, scan to our cloud. Oh, that's exciting. Scan to our cloud so we can fly the balloon over and get what you scan. I don't know if they're doing that, but at the end of the day, why take a damn chance? The technology threat has been a talk track from every senator and congressman in the whole entire country. Just pick a congressman. We know that Marco Rubio has been a big advocate of this. He's talking on his website about the UFLPA and how it doesn't go far enough. Ladies and gentlemen, there is lobbyists out there meeting with lawmakers every day to try to weaken the legislation. Because that dictator in China understands, man, if people just focus on the compassion of the people that work at the companies we control in the free world, we're going to win this. Think about Lexmark itself. What have they put online? How have they addressed this since June? They don't even talk about this. You know what they talk about? They talk about, hey, we just picked up some litter. Look at all of us. We're great people. They put stuff about, well, just good feely stuff. Like stuff that's all about a compassion. Like who could not like that? Oh, that's fantastic, Lexmark. But they don't face reality. Ladies and gentlemen, we got old folks in our industry who do the same thing. You know, they might complain about my type of content and how I deliver it, but they have nothing to say of their own. Because they know if they say anything, they're going to offend somebody. That's not leadership. That's weakness at all levels. And so what do? Well, they talk about absolutely nothing. Because it's all about compassion. You'll see this post. Oh, how do you not like that? Oh, that's fantastic. Puppy dogs and rainbows. Ladies and gentlemen, as we're flying over this forest, you don't see any puppy dogs and rainbows. Flying over the forest is pretty damn brutal, isn't it? Look at all this stuff. It's all overlying, ladies and gentlemen. It's all out there. The world is really taking note of the threats around China technology. And we have an opportunity right now with this UFLPA Act to ban more technologies based on that. But we also have to wake up to the reality. And we've got to start thinking hard. I cannot believe that Lexmark still has not addressed this cross-border transfer. Let's talk about Xerox buying Lexmark. How crazy is this? Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, Lexmark's not its own company. They're completely owned by NineStar, for the most part, over 60% of the equity, right? You think that NineStar is going to sell 60% of their revenue? It's like 65% of their revenue of the whole company. They're going to sell that off? Ladies and gentlemen, NineStar has a problem in the United States. They don't have a problem anywhere else in the world. No one else has banned them. So why don't they just say the hell with it? Because that's what they do. That's what they've been doing since June. They'll figure out a way to come up with another subsidiary and ship that product in here anyway. They'll figure out a way to get those people over there at Lexmark to distract, distort, outright lie about everything that has to do with NineStar and promote that product through the land. Do you honestly believe that Xerox is going to buy Lexmark? And then what happens to NineStar? Is Xerox going to set up an entire manufacturing facility? Oh, get all the mothballs out of our old manufacturing facilities. We're going to start making printers and copy machines, and we're going to put Lexmark's name on them. Because obviously, if they buy Lexmark from NineStar, they're doing it to what? To bypass the ban. Well, if they're going to bypass the ban, then what do they got to do? They got to stop doing business with NineStar altogether. You really think NineStar is going to do that? They built this big, massive factory in Zhuhai, China to be what? One of the largest printer manufacturers in the world. And what the hell part of reinvention does buying a PRC company do for Xerox? How does that fit into their reinvention strategy? Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, I do have a strategy that I believe would work. It's not about buying Lexmark. It's about taking away their customers in the United States. That's what this is about. I told you, when you look down in the forest, it's pretty brutal. It's so much easier to look at those trees. Just focus on the people that work at these companies and not think about what it's going to take to fix the problem as you look down in the forest of the Chinese Communist Party and their ruthlessness. But ladies and gentlemen, here's an example. What if Fujifilm went over to Xerox and said, Xerox, let's go to the United States government. Let's tell the United States government that we want to replace every single Lexmark machine in every government office throughout the entire country. We want to do a major refresh. You need to help us out. Because it's a threat to buy Chinese technology. By the way, you know Lexmark's owned by NineStar, and the Department of Homeland Security banned Lexmark's owners over Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. So we want to figure out a way that we can wipe them off the planet in the United States. I think it'd be a good investment. They'd end up getting all the equipment. And at the end of the day, those customers would probably appreciate the fact that someone came and told them that Lexmark's owners, NineStar, were banned over the Department of Homeland Security's Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. There's ways to do this, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't have to be just Fuji. It doesn't have to be just Xerox. What if Brother decided to do something with maybe a mega giant dealer? Let's focus on this Lexmark base. Ladies and gentlemen, every Lexmark machine that's in the United States is on a 3 to 5 year relationship. That's the reality, right? 3 to 5 year relationships. All we got to do is wipe them off the planet. Boy, I'll tell you what, flying over that forest is pretty damn brutal, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, let's take that copter down, and now you're standing here and you're looking at the trees. Don't make it about the trees, because that ruthless dictator is betting you will. I do feel sorry for all the people that work at NineStar throughout the world, even in China. But at the end of the day, this isn't about the trees, it's about the forest. And that ruthless dictator bets on the compassion of the free world. And he bets that that compassion of the free world will allow him to do whatever atrocities he wants, because the people within the free world will focus on the people, not the atrocities. And everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. And I'll see you all tomorrow.